Hello and welcome to the Luscious Living Podcast. I'm your host, Celine Bilgin, holistic nutrition consultant and the founder of Luscious Living, where personal growth meets wellness. Hello, how are you? I want to speak with you today about something that might be more important than ever, and that is our mental health. It's our mental well-being. And as of recording this, we are late in 2020, still in the midst of the pandemic, okay? And where I live in Calgary, we were announced that there will be certain activities that are going to be back in lockdown. I know that in Quebec, it's in a semi-lockdown. Wherever you are in the world, there are different circumstances, okay? And so where that can lead us is sometimes the wrong rabbit hole, right? We can get in a whole pattern of anxiety and fear all over again. And let me tell you, in March, I was in that space where I was confused and scared and upset. And I also didn't do well there. And I hear it quite a bit through conversation, people's repeating thoughts of, when is this going to stop? Can I get back to normal? I hate this. We're stuck here, blah, blah, blah. And I get it, okay? I've had every single one of those thoughts myself, okay? And the thing is, when we start to repeat those thoughts over and over again, we end up becoming pretty darn anxious, and it ends up stopping us from living our life. And I've seen people, just from their thoughts alone, become quarantined with horrible thoughts in their head, and not even necessarily horrible thoughts, but just negative or fearful thoughts. And then they end up getting burnt out and stressed out, and it just doesn't work out. And so what we aren't really being told, and I'm here to remind you, and myself, of course, is that we must get control of our mind. We must become the CEO of our life and our mind. Maybe you've seen the quote before, you know, that you must fire and hire accordingly with the people in your life. But really, most importantly, your thoughts. Are you hiring thoughts? If your brain or your body, your life is a business, for example, maybe that helps you kind of get in touch with this better. Or a household, for example. Let's say household, are you going to allow like dirty feet walking through your home? Are you going to allow stinky, broken appliances or whatever, food, people into your life? No. And same with your business. Are you going to allow people who are going to lie to you and deceive you and say hurtful things? No. And so why are we putting this up within ourselves? And I get it. I had that, I was getting ready yesterday. Tomorrow's my birthday. Well, I guess as of this recording, it'll already be past or by the time it's published. But anyway, I'm getting ready and my partner is telling me about the changes in Calgary. And yeah, I noticed from some fear and anxiety rise. I was not happy to hear that. And I did think okay, when is this going to be over? I'm over this. Can COVID just wrap it up? Right? And at the same time, obviously, I don't have control over it. Nobody does. And that's the biggest challenge I find, is the lack of control that we have over this big situation. And the thing is, we don't have control over it, and that's that. What we do have control over is how we live our life. Of course, our thoughts can't always be controlled. Sometimes they just happen. They're just there. You're like, that's not a fun thought. I don't like that. And thoughts just kind of happen, but we can also train our thoughts. Okay. And so if you go to the gym, for example, it is the same thing as building muscle. You just practice over and over and over again. You're building new neural pathways with your mind. And for those of you who are just listening to this as well, maybe you know my story, maybe you don't, but I was at a very young age suicidal, depressed, and then even in my mid-20s, I was in a very uncomfortable position of being depressed. I wasn't on any medication, but it was definitely one of the biggest low points of my life, and I didn't know why. It was one of those instances where I had no idea why it was happening, why I felt the way I did. I was still exercising, I was still sleeping, like it was all those things, but I didn't know why and what was going on. And so if you've ever been told, like, just go exercise, whatever for mental health, I understand how frustrating that is. And so on the other hand, I'm also here to be your coach in that and say, make sure you're doing that as well, because I do see people who are depressed and anxious and who don't exercise, who don't meditate, and I'm like, well, that's where we start. Even if you don't feel like doing it, even if you don't feel like it's going to help, because doing something is better than nothing. And I'm really here to protect people too from going further down the rabbit hole who don't feel good, because I know what it's like and I know the decisions that can come from it, and it's not good. And so I want to talk to you today about some of the ways that we can own our mind and own our life, okay? We'll go from a physical to more of a mental loop there. So one of the first things I really want you to focus on, especially moving into winter and COVID and uncertainty, okay, is to have those habits that really get you grounded in your own life. Okay, so habits such as having fermented foods in your diet. Fermented foods help to feed friendly gut bacteria, and this gut bacteria is responsible for producing serotonin and GABA, which is your anti-anxiety neurotransmitter. So it's really within your body as well. And our society, our culture doesn't really have a lot of fermented foods. We do now. We're having more kombucha and things like that now, but even kombucha might not be the best fit, especially if you have blood sugar imbalances. And so I recommend getting kimchi, sauerkraut, pickles. And again, pickles and sauerkraut not from the grocery store aisle, because they're already pasteurized, so buy the ketchup, but you want them in the refrigerated section. Okay, most health foods, actually pretty much every single health food store will have this now. So this is even sourdough, okay, kefir, not the yogurt, again, in typical grocery stores. You might have to find another place or actually do it your own. It's actually very, very simple to do. So on a daily basis, having gut-friendly bacteria foods, and the foods to feed that gut bacteria is your prebiotics. So this is onions, garlic, leeks, Jerusalem, artichokes, dandelion greens, things like this, okay? Make sure you are having this on the daily, okay? And then I mentioned this earlier, but movement is so important. I know even for me, it helps me get me out of my funk. Even a few weeks ago, I was feeling super unmotivated and low and stagnant. And I made myself a hot pot of ginger tea, and I went for a long walk, and that even helped. And so make sure you're getting outside. The sun is seeing your face. You're moving your body. I recommend even running or weightlifting, whatever you can to get a sweat on, okay? Even if that includes going into the infrared sauna or hot yoga. It doesn't have to look a certain way. Even if you do it at home, I want you to move your body. And I actually want to pull up something here. We do see that there are studies that show that people who exercise form more neurons that emit GABA, again, your anti-anxiety neurotransmitter. And they say that even after 24 hours of exercise, you're less prone to experience anxiety symptoms. And the best is to do 30 minutes 4 times a week to reduce stress for most people. Honestly, I am like a big dog. I need to move every single day for at least an hour, okay? And please do what works for you. If you're starting fresh on the movement journey, just start with 5 minutes around the block. That's how I started. And then sleep. Sleep is so important, okay? People vary in the time that they need sleep. The National Sleep Foundation says 7 to 9. Honestly, I hit that range for myself, but some people don't need that much. And I think some of it is just like the excitement. I recently started drumming lessons, and I woke up in the morning earlier than my alarm, and I was like, I just can't wait to drum. And so I think a part of that is that, and I find that when I was in that very, very low place, I just wanted to sleep all the time as well. And so to sleep better, especially if you're feeling anxious, is to focus on your breath. Okay, this is one big thing. I used to have insomnia, chronic insomnia. I was on sleeping pills by the time I was 16 years old. And it wasn't until I found yoga that really changed everything for me. But I notice sometimes, even if I can't sleep now, is that my breath is going very, very quickly. And when you're sleeping, your breath is very slow and rhythmic. So make sure that you are matching that even ahead of time. You're in bed, you can't sleep. Start to focus on your breath, make it slow. Okay, next thing you know, you'll fall asleep. I also make sure that I have white space in between the time I do sleep so that by the time I am sleeping, that's not the only time where I get to just pause, because otherwise my mind races. So I do a lot of journaling in the morning. I make sure I just have some time to just be. You might do some meditation. I highly recommend planning the night or the day the night before as well, so you're not thinking about everything that has to get done tomorrow. And then also sleep in a cool room. If you live in a very dry climate like myself, I highly recommend a humidifier. Otherwise, I wake up in the middle of the night with my nose hurting. And so make sure you have that. Also, make sure you have a darkened room. I sleep with a little shade. I don't even know what they're called, the sleep shade, whatever. You just put it over your eyes, sleeping mask. And because I live pretty much downtown, and you could see all the lights either way. So whether you have to get blackout curtains or a sleep mask, I don't have any alarms either, especially if I go to a hotel room, I turn over the clock because even a little bit of light affects me, and our skin actually has light receptors as well. Also, make sure you take your magnesium in the evening as well. You might do an Epsom salt bath, whether it's capsule. I prefer having a spray because the body best absorbs magnesium through the skin. So make sure you do that. It will help you relax. And then make sure also you have an activity that switches you from being on to off. So that could be reading, journaling, meditation, just hanging out on the bed, whatever it is, self-pleasure, whatever you want to do, and just have that space between TV, your phone, whatever, and sleeping, okay? And also, especially while we have this socially distanced time, or physically distanced rather, it's not socially distant, okay? So make sure you are making time for connections. If you don't feel comfortable with that, being in person, get on FaceTime or Zoom or Skype. I promise you will make a big difference. There are days where I will feel super accomplished in terms of career and fitness, but then I won't actually feel fulfilled until I connect with someone. And we have a tendency, at least I do, and I'm sure someone else out there does too, of just feeling like wanting to isolate when we feel down or bad. And I know for myself, I just don't want to be that vulnerable with most people. And I, even though I am on my podcast, I think, but and especially girl time, especially for women, we release oxytocin around other women. So make sure we do spend time with other friends, especially females, making time for that connection. Even if you go for a walk and you're socially distanced, please schedule it in. I mean, I'm a bit of a lone wolf, and I make sure that at least once a week I have some sort of connection call with someone that I love, or I see someone that I love. Okay, and then I really encourage you also to try out different kinds of modalities, be it acupuncture, be it any sort of body work, osteopathic medicine, something like that, to really get the energy flowing in a different way. Maybe you do have some imbalance that you're not aware of. And I can guarantee if you're feeling low, if you're feeling, anything but well, there is some sort of imbalance, whether it's in the thought level or mind level. But when you change your physiology, your psychology will change. And when you change your psychology, your physiology will change as well. Okay. And so I personally love acupuncture. I love working out. I love going to the sauna. And I just make sure that these things are all happening to keep my mental health in check before it goes down. Okay. And I just keep leaning over because I really want to make sure I have all my notes. One big thing is nature. Whether you have a park nearby, a river, the mountains, a tree, go and hang out with that tree. Honest to God, there is something about nature that makes us feel good. It's the terpenes. It's, of course, the energy of the trees. It's the Schumann resonance. It's all of that. So make sure that you are spending time outside, no matter how cold it is. I was once told that there is no bad weather, only bad gear. And so just dress appropriately for it. And I promise you it will make a difference. I'm proud to say I've become one of those crazy people that runs in the winter now. And I hated running before. And now I can't imagine not running in the winter outside now. It's pretty sweet. And then another thing, now going a little bit more into the mental, is constantly feeding your mind. Okay. Again, we're going to be fed through the news, through media, everything about whether it's elections or whether it's about some debate or whether it's about COVID or economy. Okay. It's going to happen. And so I need you to counteract that with a positive or at least neutral messaging, something that fuels your spirit still, whether it's a podcast like this one, maybe it's a book. Have something every day. Read 10 pages, listen to a podcast, watch a motivational YouTube video. I don't know, honestly, I'm just going to be very honest, how people go on with their life without doing that. I would be a very different person if I was not constantly fueling my mind. Like, I am also motivated and happy because I surround my brain with that. And if you call it brainwashing, then call it brainwashing. I have brainwashed my mind to be happy because I was not a happy person, okay? And all areas of my life reflect positively of growth, from fitness to finances, because of my internal mind, okay? And just really practice every day repetition. That's how we learn. And then this winter, I want you to, and I invite you to take on a new skill, right? What has been something you've always wanted to do that if you only had enough time for, if you have only had enough money for, what would you be doing? Is it crafting? Is it singing lessons? Is it learning a new language? I want you to discipline yourself, put it in your calendar, and learn that new skill. Okay, maybe it's investing. Maybe it's pottery. I don't know what it is for you. For me, actually, it was drumming. Drumming has been something I've wanted to do since a teenager. And finally, I was like, what the heck am I waiting for? And I am now taking drumming lessons. And my boyfriend picked me up from the class last week, and he said I looked like a kid in a candy shop. And I really felt like it. I was kind of like a little irritated and grumpy for no reason right before going. And afterwards, I was just like, oof, just powerful, full of energy, full of vitality and joy after. So have that thing that you look forward to each week. Especially with COVID, our vacation plans are canceled, obviously, and all these other things have been canceled, but I still want you to find the thing that you can look forward to each week or each month. Maybe it is a specific class. Maybe it's a certain book. Maybe it's an audiobook. I don't care what it is. I need you to find something that you look forward to, because every other day just feels like Groundhog Day otherwise, and then depression and anxiety sets in. It's a very good space to invite depression and anxiety, I find. So put your focus on that, because otherwise we're just focused on how shitty life is sometimes, okay? And really, again, coming back to self-talk. What are you saying to yourself? You know, it really helped me yesterday when I found out the news about Calgary. My boyfriend was like, you know what? No matter what happens, we'll figure it out. And I accepted that thought. I said, yeah, no matter what happens, we will figure it out. And I invite you to suggest these kinds of thoughts to yourself as well. No matter what happens, I will figure it out. I will be okay. I am safe. I am smart. I am worthy. Whatever you need to say to yourself, say it over and over again. Suggest it. Accept it. Okay? Again, it's repetition, and it might seem awkward at first, but I promise you, you will eventually believe it. Just like you somehow believe that you're not good enough, that you've also repeated that and believed it too. Okay? You are, and I really, really want you to know how much you are. Really worth it, valuable, deserving, loving, beautiful, capable. Okay, so that's really what I wanted to talk to you about today. I would love to hear from you. You know, perhaps you do something this weekend or this week that is really nourishing yourself. Maybe you got yourself a new water bottle that you love. Maybe you are taking a new fitness class. Tag me on social media and let me know what your thing is. You can find me at _lusciousliving_, and I would love to hear from you. I hope you enjoy the rest of the day, and thank you so much for tuning in. Don't forget to subscribe, and I will see you for the next episode. Have a great day. Thank you so much for tuning in. Please give the show a 5-star review if you feel like you learned something new today. All of the mentioned links will be in the show notes. And also, are we connected on Instagram? Find me over at _lusciousliving_ and come say hi. See you next episode.